Hey, it's Armand with Attract. At Attract Advisors, we offer accounting advisory, tax advisory, as well as financial management services. We're lucky enough to work with very many hardworking, talented entrepreneurs across many different industries. Many of these individuals are world-class in their sphere and have great stories to tell. This is our way of highlighting their accomplishments and their insights, and we hope you enjoy these conversations. Hey, it's Armand with Attract, and today we are talking with Mathew Laborde, owner and CEO of ELIFIN. Matt, thanks for being here today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, before we jump into it, give us a brief intro of yourself.
Myself?
Yeah.
Well, Mathew Laborde. I am a husband, a father to an 18-month-old baby girl. And I own ELIFIN, which is a commercial real estate brokerage.
So, how did you get into commercial real estate? Way back.
Yeah, way back. So I got in when I was 19. And I was just interested in real estate. And I had a mentor at the time that told me, the best way to get started is to just start now. Doesn't matter. You're not going to have a secretary and a desk, but whether you're cleaning toilets or whatever you're doing, get as close to the profession as you can. And that's how you'll decide if it's a good fit for you. So I did that. I went door to door to different commercial real estate agent offices. And one agreed to let me work there.
So that's how you got in. Talk about the ELIFIN story and what have been some of the big moments in ELIFIN's lifespan or the big key decisions that you guys made along the way?
Yeah, that's a big question. But so ELIFIN story would be, so I was an agent, 19, got my license, working really hard, sleeping at the office, putting everything into commercial real estate brokerage. Eventually became the top producer at the company I was at. And just got to a certain point where I felt like I'd hit a ceiling. I think like we all get to that point, some point in our career, our lives. But I was just putting everything I had into this and just felt like the company wasn't really, wasn't game to grow with me. They wanted to almost keep me from growing. And so I decided that I had to go out on my own. And if I was going to work that hard, I was going to do it in an environment and a structure that, I could reap the rewards of my labor for many years to come.
Right. So, and I apologize, I asked you a two-parter. So
I told you no multi-part questions.
Right. Sorry.
Yes.
So, and I know ELIFIN has at this point been around for a while.
Right.
Long
8 years.
lifespan.
Yep.
So talk about the key moments and the key decisions over that lifespan. What are some of the big boys?
There's tons, but a bunch of them center around who I hired. The people that we brought on have made all the difference, especially in those early days. We made some bad decisions and some of the best decisions we ever made. So hiring those first people, George as an agent, Will, Mark, this core group of people, Chase, Weatherly, has become like a really good team to grow the company with. And we wouldn't be anywhere we're at without them.
Right. And, we've had the opportunity to work with you guys now. And one of the things that really impressed me was the data and the information that you guys have at your fingertips. And I know that you didn't go out and pay for that data. You went out and gathered that data yourself. Talk about how that came to be.
Yeah. So as a commercial real estate agent, I always was very data focused, information. And I was always frustrated by the fact that nobody could tell me, like in Baton Rouge, in this market, how many office buildings sold last year. And if the number of office buildings that sold this year is comparable, is on par, is less, is more. Typically, when you ask a commercial real estate agent, how's the market, their answer is always based on how their business is doing, their personal business. So like if they're killing it, they're like, the market's hot, the market's on fire, the market's blowing up. If their business is slow, they're like, man, it's dead. Nothing's happening. Nobody's doing anything. Interest rates are killing it all. Um, and all of that was subjective. And it was really about how that agent's business was doing, not how the market was. And so I really wanted to be able to answer when somebody asked me, how's the market, with a data driven answer. And so we, hired somebody to go through all the public records back 5 years and get all the sales. That was like the initial data mining project. Get all the sales, put it in our database, and then collect that information in every market that we're in every single week. And now we have a very, very robust database upon which our business is built.
Yeah, I remember the first time you explained it to me. I think my first question to you was like, what website do you get this from? Where do you buy this from? And then when I heard the story, oh, well, we have to go get it ourselves.
Yeah.
Is anybody else doing that in the market? And if not, is that differentiating you?
100% is differentiating us. I don't think anybody's really doing it to the extent we do it in the country. In the country, it's a unique thing that we're doing, and it's because it's labor intensive, it's time intensive. If there's a lot of websites out there that we could subscribe to, and we do subscribe to, that gives you pieces and parts of this information, but nothing like we get, and the insights we get, and the competitive advantage we get from having timely, accurate, complete, actionable data. So for us, it's not about having the most accurate database, but it's about having the most money making database. And so, like, not only is this data there valuable, but it's actionable. So we can go out and make money for our clients with this data.
Right, got it. So I know recently in the ELIFIN world, you're in a bit of a transition point, right? You're going from agent to CEO. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a big transition. So, when we started the company, I was the sole producer. So I brought in all the income and was the main producer for several years until, but everybody realizes, you get to a certain point, you realize like that's not sustainable for the quality of life and the type of life that I want to live long term. And that's not really building a company. It's building like your own book of business. So grew the team and eventually got the team to a point where I could move from a agent producer role to a sales manager type role, where I am no longer winning directly myself, but I am responsible for our team winning, and I'm responsible for winning through our team. And so it's been a huge transition. There's a great book out there that's called Sales Management Simplified by Mike Weinberg. And it's like, right now, it's like my Bible. I listen to either his podcast or the audiobook over and over again every single morning and drill it into my head. And he talks about, the attributes that make you a top producing salesperson are the exact opposite attributes that make you a top producing sales manager. A top producer is selfish in a good way. They're selfish with their time, and they are selfish about their own results, as they should be. That's what makes them great. He uses the term selfishly productive, which is a great term. And a sales manager is the exact opposite. They're selfless. So I've been in a transition from that sales producer, top producer person, to a sales management role, winning through my team, coaching my team. I'm getting better at it every day, proving at it every day. And it's a lot different, but it is very rewarding in its own way.
Right. So that sounds like, and I know it's got to be a big, not only an attitude change but a mindset change. How does the core group how are you managing that mindset change every day with the rest of the team?
Yeah, as far as my mindset or their mindset?
Both.
Yeah, yeah. My mindset is maintained by that listening to that audio content every morning. It's something I've done throughout my career where, I need to be in a certain mindset no matter what. And so I like to say that I brainwash myself with content. And so every single morning, I'm brainwashing myself with this content of how to be the best sales manager ever. And that's what I did as a producer, like how to be the best producer ever. And I would listen to that content every single morning. That way, you got days where you feel it and days when you don't, and days when you have clarity in your path forward and days when you don't. And by listening to that stuff every single morning, I'm able to doesn't matter how I woke up, because by the time I get to the work, by the time I start my day, I'm like, my mindset is in the right space. So that's huge. That's how I do my own mindset. That's how I maintain it. For the team, encouraging them to do a similar thing is huge. And then just meeting with them regularly, checking in, offering to help, talk through whatever they've got going on. Every person is going through a different challenge, whether it's professionally or personally, and just being there for them and trying to help them through it and help them maximize their results.
Right. So I know I know that transition has a lot to do with your plans for the future. So what is the outlook for Elephant? What are we seeing through the windshield?
Yeah, yeah. So lots of growth. Um, Lots of growth. So we are growing our team. We're focused on growing our team, getting high quality people. So for us, our model is unique. The way we do things, the way we operate internally, our culture, and part of having that unique model made it very important that the people that we get on board 100% buy into that model. So thus far, I've been very hesitant to ever hire somebody who is an existing commercial real estate agent, high producer at a different company, because I wanted to make sure our culture was solidified in our operations and our framework were so solidified. Because what happens when you bring in a big producer from somewhere else that's used to a different culture, different way of doing things, might have a little bit different values or different opinion, they hold a lot of sway, especially when you're a new company. And so I was always very protective of what we were building, because it was still developing, it was still, growing, it was still forming itself out. Now we've formed that culture out, we've formed those processes out. We know exactly what's important to us. We're not figuring a lot of those things out that we've already gotten figured out. And so now the next step for us is to hire those and recruit those top performing people that still have alignment with our culture, with the way we do things, but then can come into this system that is unique. And I think we're going to see even more success as we learn how to do that.
Excellent. So I know your culture and your values are important. Talk about your culture.
Yeah, so our culture, so I came from a company where, everybody was competing with each other. So the person, in the office next to you, you would keep your door closed. You wouldn't talk too loud on the phone. So because you don't want them to hear you or hear what deal you're working on. You definitely wouldn't share contact information with or a database or anything, because you're scared the company might take that and keep that and, leverage it to work against you. You're always looking over your shoulder, and it's a very toxic environment. And that's typical in commercial real estate brokerage. So for us, it's the opposite. So example, nobody at Elephant has an office, has their own individual office. You come to our office, it's wide open, transparent, and that's how our company is outside and inside. So shared database, shared information, and nobody winning at another person or another Elephant agent's expense. Like when we win against the competition. We don't win against another elephant agent. And so it's just it's a lot more team oriented environment. And so it's very important you get the right people and you train them the right way. And that's one of my main roles is making sure that everybody is 100% on board with that. Because the moment you lose that trust internally, everything goes, everybody starts keeping things to themselves and starts operating in a different way. That's against our culture.
Have you had to fight that? I'm sure in the lifespan of Elephant you have. If you had
Yeah,
to fight against that a little bit, since that does seem to be the natural way of commercial real estate?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's helped by having everybody that we hire, their main thing in commercial real estate brokerage experiences at Elephant.
Right.
So this is all they've known. But a good top producer wants to win. You know what I mean? They have that personality where they want to win, and they will do anything ethically, legally, available to them to win, and that's how they should be, right? So there's constant of, hey, can I do this, or hey, can I do that, or where I have to say like, have to lay down strict boundaries or strict like, hey, this is how we do things. Hey, think of the golden rule: you do unto others the way you would have done unto you. And so constant communication like that. And that's the other key is to keep that communication flowing. Keep that communication flowing amongst our people, uh, and with me and our people, because a lot of times you close up like your people like close up and they get distrustful and they don't want to talk and communicate, and just teaching everybody like, no, you need to communicate. You need to have that tough conversation, and you need to have it as soon as possible. And so, me to get people to have those conversations um, is one of my main roles.
Right.
Yeah.
So as CEO, and as you guys grow, I imagine you're going to start having more tough conversations.
Hmm.
What do you think about that? How are you preparing for that?
Yeah. How am I preparing for it? Well, it's just reps. It's just reps like
Right.
anything else. It's reps like anything else. So I have a lot of tough conversations. I read a book recently that said CEO is the most painful job in the company. It should be the most painful job, not necessarily the hardest, not necessarily, you have to be the most skilled person in the company to do it, but it's the most painful because you have to have painful conversation after painful conversation after painful conversation. And you're helping people grow. And a lot of the ways to help people grow is to confront them about things that, they might be blind to, but that are limiting them. And oftentimes those are not, uh, at least for me, easy conversations to have, in a good way. Um, so it is definitely the most painful job in the company, but you gotta at a certain point like take pride in that,
Right.
like, you know, bear that burden because obviously a lot of responsibility, a lot of great things come with this role. Um, but you got to do that hard work. You got to do those tough things.
I love it. Well, that actually transitions into our next question pretty well. So, two of the questions we like to ask everybody, one of them is tell me your best and worst, either career or life advice that you've ever got.
Okay. Best career advice would be start now. So whatever you're thinking about doing, just start doing it. I got that advice. That's when I was thinking about getting into commercial real estate or getting into a different career. Got it at 19, and to this question, I always answer that is by far the best advice. Just get started. Worst advice, I can't necessarily. Um, okay, I would say the worst advice. The worst advice. A lot of times in this role, and especially in this industry, in commercial real estate brokerage, you're very fearful of the people coming up next because it's a very common thing for, like one commercial real estate brokerage to blow up and be like the biggest one in town or the biggest one in the market or the state or the region. And then, 10 years later, all the other companies are owned and founded by agents that used to work for that prior brokerage. And so there's a lot of very protective mindset amongst, owners and leaders of companies in this world. And I think if there's anything, and I kind of had the similar mindset, but also have realized through my own experience that those tendencies are exactly what drive your top people to leave. So it's very counterintuitive because you're like, well, I'm protecting them because I know this person is going to leave one day. I'm protecting myself because I know this person is going to leave one day. And if you could just, put that where it is, put that fear where it is, play that out, whatever you have to do to get over that mindset and realize that protective, those actions that spring out of being protective is what actually causes these people to leave a lot of times. And a lot of times it's a lot sooner than they would have left if you weren't like that. So there's been a lot of times where I have had the urge to, be very protective over something internally until like you see where we are at now, where our top people know everything. Mm-hmm. There's no secrets. There is nothing hidden. There's nothing back. If they wanted to take this and start their next thing, they could. They could. And if they do, they do. But if you're gonna be a team, like if you're gonna be a true team, then yeah, they have to trust you, but you have to trust them. Right. And there's a lot of people miss that part that are in the leadership position. You got to trust them too. So trusting them with that valuable information, with all of that stuff is key.
I love it. Okay, so last question we ask everybody, since we are an accounting firm, talk to us about kind of your mindset around accounting and how do you use your financial data to run your business?
Great question. I would say, so we hired Attract, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, I used more of my feeling to drive the way I ran the business. And I think if you asked me this a year ago, I would say I don't have a accounting philosophy, or I don't really try to think of accounting as little as possible. But I think, hiring Attract, definitely one of the best decisions we've ever made, in that it's had me be a lot more aware of our financials. And when we do our budget each year, I call it our budget or our plan. It also drives our plan. So our plan is driven by the numbers, right? And to make sure it's profitable growth, to make sure it's the best growth for the company. And it's been a huge decision that, put us years ahead by harnessing the knowledge of Attract and all y'all have brought to the table to make us think about these things in a smarter way.
Well, we really appreciate that, those kind words, and appreciate you guys letting us be a part of the team. Because like I said, I mean, you guys really are a team. And love the meetings that we have with you guys, the open communication and just the vibe and the culture. It's I think you guys got something really special going on.
Thank you.
We love the opportunity.
Likewise. Feel the same way. Yeah. The probably one of our favorite things is that you guys over deliver. Because we signed a contract and it said you would do X, Y, and Z. And when you sign one of those things, it's expensive. It's like there's always that question, like, hey, can I do it internally? Right. Can I do this? Is that really that valuable? But you guys dove in, and provided way more value than was on the sheet that you were supposed to provide. Attending our meetings, knowing our company, knowing our business, which is a different type of business than I think your other clients have done. And I feel like, you didn't go surface level and just provide accounting stuff. You were like a key part of every executive meeting that we have. And I told Melissa, who's on our executive committee, I don't want to have a meeting without Attract. I need somebody from Attract there because it's that important to us.
Yeah. Well, we like to be plugged in. I mean, it's sometimes, we get brought on board and it's we don't get that kind of buy-in,
Mm-hmm.
and we appreciate the feedback because, there's a lot of different ways to slice an onion, and, appreciate the feedback because we're able to tailor fit it. But anyway, I appreciate those kind words for sure. Appreciate the opportunity of being on the team, and thanks for coming in and talking to us.
Enjoyed it.
Yes,
Thanks
indeed.
for having me.
Catch us next time.